and good evening. My name is Kazakiel Ben Yisrael, and welcome to Unfolding Scriptures. Tonight's topic is, who is the true church? Right now I'm going to give some introductions. To my right is...
I'm Elder Shadaniah Ben Israel.
Shalom.
Shalom. I'm Elder Aharon Ben Israel. Shalom.
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 Obiyahu Ben Yehuda Israel. Shalom.
Shalom. So, as I said before, this is who is the true church. And right now, we're going to try to bring out some points and some scriptures regarding the subject matter. So I hope that you have your Bibles and just be patient with us so that you will be able to go along with us as we decipher some of the different problems that's been plaguing the church for some years now. So I don't know who's going to start, but whoever feel free. Whoever wants to start.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
This was a topic that the world has been misled about. Because you hear people talking about the church this and the church that. But once you read the Tanakh, you'll see that the word church as we know it has never been mentioned. But the word that they speak of that comes from the Greek is ecclesia. And in the Strong's Concordance, the number is 1577. And the definition of it says, a calling out, a popular meeting, especially a religious congregation. And then in parentheses, it has Jewish synagogue or community of members on earth or saints in heaven or both. And then it says assembly, then church. But let's look at Exodus, the 12th chapter. I'm going to read verse 3.
Okay.
It says, speak to all the congregation of Israel. Stop. The congregation of Israel is what has later been known as the church. Because if you understand that the Father told Moshe and Aharon to speak to the children of Israel.
Okay.
They were a family, a nation of people in which the Father chose to be his priest to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam, which later we transposed over to what today they call the church. But the correct word is the congregation of the meeting or the congregation of Israel.
Okay, it's true.
Can somebody else?
But that's true. There's a confirmation of that, what you just said, Elder, in the book of Acts. I like to read it. It's in Acts 7:38. And it reads, this is Shaul talking about the brethren. It says, this is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spoke to him in Mount Sinai. So that confirms what you just said about Israel being the original church.
Right, correct.
But see, first and foremost, we got to go to the origin of the church, or what was considered this assembly of Yah. We must understand the covenant that the Most High gave to the children of Israel regarding his word and how it was going to be distributed. Now, you must understand the children of Israel were the only people authorized to give the Father's word. That's a part of protocol. And you can't go outside the parameters of what's already been established by the Most High regarding this word. That's why you have so many different definitions for different things. You have so many different religions. Everybody got their own spin, but we all reading from the same book. So first of all, you got to ask yourself, well, if we're all serving the same God, so to speak, traveling down the same road, why is there so many interpretations out of one book?
Good question.
So once you ask yourself that, the only conclusion that you can draw is somebody is lying. Now, this book isn't lying. I truly believe the words in this book, okay? It's men that have made up lies regarding this book, because the different men that got a hold of this book that weren't the seed of Jacob tried to bring themselves or try to show the world that they were just as close to the Most High as Israel is. But that's ridiculous, because this book talks about Israel being the Most High's elect. Okay? So we must understand, if Israel is the elect, and Israel was commissioned to preach and teach the Father's word, that covenant was made with Israel.
Okay.
Okay? And it's only made with Israel. The only way you can get to the Most High is attach yourself to a sector of Israel. True Israel. Not the Jews. Not a Jewish people. Not a Jewish person. But an Israelite. Okay? Now, let's go to Exodus, the 19th chapter. Okay?
Okay.
19 and 5. Are we there? Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Let's say 19 and 3. And Moshe went up unto Yahweh, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. See, first of all, you got to realize that the Father sanctified Israel. When he brought us out of the land of Mizraim, he sanctified us. He separated us. So as that began to take motion, we must understand that he started preparing us, okay, to make us his ambassadors on earth. Okay. 5. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So those out there in the viewing audience, if you have any doubt about who the Father people is, you read verse 5, okay? And it will knock any doubts out of your mind about who his people is. Verse 6, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All that Yahweh has spoken, we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. Okay? This is what you got to understand. This is one of the segments that established the church. Okay? So you can't get away from Israel There is no washing away of Israel. Israel is commissioned to teach the Father's word across the planet. Anybody else got anything else to say?
I'd just like to read right here in verse 10. It says, Then Yahweh said to Moshe, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. This is where we see the people as a whole being consecrated and placed into the office of being a kingdom of priests, like you said, Kazakiel. I think a lot of times what happens is that we get caught up in words, and because we lose words, we lose value in words, and we lose an understanding of words, it causes us to not quite understand certain things. Like, for example, now we know that the word church is an English word. Now, it has been established that the word church, being English, is a derivative from the Greek word called ecclesia. And I think you mentioned that, Elder. Right. You said ecclesia. Right. It also has been established that the word ecclesia means the called out assembly. All right. Now, that's as far as we go, because we don't look at ecclesia beyond Greek.
Okay.
But we know that the Hebrew or the Hebrew is beyond the Greek.
That's right.
But why or how is it that we only think that church is connected with ecclesia and that's as far as it goes? See, because there is a way of establishing an assembly beyond the Greek word ecclesia. Now, there's two Hebrew words that we can look at that will line right up with that. The first one is mikra. That's a Hebrew word, and what it means is it means a meeting, but it refers to more of a public meeting. So it does line up with the word ecclesia / church, but the Hebrew word that would really line up with it to be more perfect would be the word called Knesset.
Okay.
Now, a Knesset is the Hebrew word, and it refers to a congregational meeting. Now, why is it that we can't understand that the word Knesset in the Hebrew will be comparable to the Greek word ecclesia, called out assembly, which is the same as the word church in English?
Okay.
So, regardless of how we look at it, we see, if we just want to go to the Greek definition of it, it's a called out assembly. Because when you look at Israel, based on what Kazakiel just read, that sounds to me like a called out assembly.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like to me these are people that Yah has called out, because they are people that Yah has chosen. So I think sometimes we lose an understanding because we don't know how to line up the words and what the words mean in different languages. We lose it in the language thing. You know, we don't go beyond the Greek to make the Hebrew connection. So I think that's part of the reason why there's so much confusion, otherwise why people don't understand what the church really is.
Right. Well, I was going to go further because there is a word that also lines up with that, and the word is 5712 in the Strong's Concordance. It's adar, and the definition of it is a stated assembly, a concourse, or generally a family or a crowd. Now, it lines up more because if you understand, the children of Israel were a family. The whole nation was a family. And it was the assembly that the Father called out for his personal self. Now, turn to Deuteronomy.
And this is a Hebrew word, too.
That's right, correct.
And the thing I think, we don't, as a whole, our people, we don't get familiar or become familiar with Hebrew words.
Correct.
And that's part of the problem.
And that's the basis from which the scripture was written. And if you want to know anything, you go to the origin.
It's always.
Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, and I'm going to start at verse 6 to echo on what Kazakiel said.
Okay.
It says, "For you are a holy people to Yahweh your El. Yahweh your El has chosen you to be a people for himself, a special treasure above all people on the face of the earth."
All?
All.
All.
Then it says, "Yahweh did not set his love on you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any other people, for you were the least of all people. But because Yahweh loves you, and because he would keep the oath which he swore to your fathers, Yahweh has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt." Again, letting you know that you were a family.
Right.
See, people tend to forget this. And they seem to think that the children of Israel were a religion. No, they weren't. They were a family that the Father made a covenant with to be the example to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam to follow after. And everybody has taken parts of what was given to them and made up their own rules.
That's the problem.
You see what I'm saying? So this is why you come out now with 1,000 different worship systems.
That's right.
And none of them hold the essence of what this is all about. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Exactly.
Again, we have to correct that. If we believe that we are the descendants of these people that the Father chose, then what we must do is do what's right. We're not downing anybody,
Okay.
but we must bring the truth the way it's written. And if you got a problem with that, it's not that you have a problem with us. You got a problem with what's written.
Right.
Okay.
See, that's my point exactly. That's why I went here in the law to show, okay, the reason I'm stressing covenant. Covenant means contract.
That's it.
Okay? The contract, see, the real church, okay, it doesn't, okay, let me put it like this. People of all creeds and color, if they want to serve the El of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, okay, they have to come under the same covenant.
Very good.
You have to, it's not about being black or people of color.
No.
It just happened to be that the children of Israel is a people of color.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, this is not a black thing. What I'm trying to get people to understand is, it doesn't matter what you look like. It's about how you choose to worship the El of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You cannot take it upon yourself to want to serve him the way you see fit. Because, see, this book hasn't changed. Okay? So, therefore, if you read this book and you get a different interpretation from somebody else, or get a different interpretation from the way it's written, you are off track, because it's written like this for a specific reason. Now, like I was saying, I was concentrating on the word covenant. Go to Exodus 24 so I can help establish, this is the origin of the church.
Okay.
Okay? And it started with the children of Jacob,
Okay.
which is the children of Israel. Now, this is to spin from where I came from, Exodus 19. Okay, this is the same situation. Okay, it's just being elaborated upon by Moshe.
Okay.
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 All right. Exodus 24 and 3. Okay. And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the ordinances, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahweh have said we will do. Now they said the same thing back in 19. Okay? 4. And Moshe wrote all the words of Yahweh and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill, 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahweh. And Moshe took half of the blood and put it in basins, and the half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant, all right, and read it in the hearing of the people. This is what we have right here.
Okay.
The book of the covenant.
Right.
All right? And it said, all that Yahweh have said we will do and be obedient. 8. And Moshe took the blood, sprinkled it on the people.
Yes.
That is the finalizing of the covenant or the contract, if you understand Hebrew culture and the way Yah does things through blood.
That's it.
Okay, let me finish reading. And said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh have made with you concerning all these words. This is the establishment and the origin of the church.
Okay.
Okay? And it started with the children of Israel. Okay? Now, all the apostles that came years later read from the same book of the covenant.
Okay. Very good.
They taught from the same book of the covenant. This book is the book that established what we call today the church. But it's not the same as what we call today as the church, because if you really look back and in the Acts of the Apostles, you can get a pretty accurate account of how the church was formed or what they did in the church. And there were Gentiles in some of the churches, and they did the same thing that was done or prescribed in the book of the covenant. See, that's the true church.
Okay.
See, this watered down generic thing that they're calling the church today.
Not happening.
And the thing about it is, if you're sitting up in church and you're reading doctrine and it doesn't match what's written
Right.
in this book, you're off. And you cannot call yourself the church. You know, Satan got a church.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is you can call it what you want to, but if you're talking about the church that the Most High will authorize or will stand by you, and you're trying to teach people, you have to come from this book and from the origins that the church was first established in.
Very good.
I'd like to say something to echo off what you just said,
Yeah.
because there's something that you just hit on, Kazakiel, that I feel is very, very important. And I mean, myself, I'm particularly very, very particular about. I'm very emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how people today classify themselves as the church.
Right.
Not really fully understanding what the real church is.
All right.
Because when we look at what the church is today, you know, when I look at that myself and I think about the way the organizations called the churches have put together their programs, and I think about the reality of what the Father has truly prescribed as what the church is, I become very, very upset about it. And the reason why, because it is nothing, it is absolutely nothing today the way it's supposed to be and the way it's supposed to be set up. Now, one thing's for sure, when we look back in reading Deuteronomy when the children of Israel were originally established as the church, or as some people might call the Commonwealth of Israel, and as Yah's people. And this covenant was made. This agreement between the Father and the people were made. And we were consecrated as a holy nation, a special treasure, like we read, a kingdom of priests. When we look at that, the church or Israel, or the Commonwealth of Israel, didn't have to go anywhere to give anybody this word.
No, they did.
Because then, and back then, during that time, if a person was a Gentile, and he was a pagan or whatever he was, if he wanted to know Yah, then he had to come to Israel.
Okay.
You had to come to us, because we weren't going anywhere giving anything.
That's right.
Now, sure, later on, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, but later on we'll find that Yah poured out his spirit on all people. And because when he did that, he established grace to them, people other than Israel. And then we had the responsibility, and we were also commanded to go out to them. But that doesn't come till later, and we'll go over that.
Okay.
But at this point, in the very foundation of what we call the church, of what we call Yah's people, we see that we had a responsibility. And that responsibility was to uphold these laws and obey the Father. And any foreigner, any sojourner, any new person, any one that had the fear of Yah, or knew Yah, or wanted to know the Father, they had to come to us. So I just want to establish that, because that's very important, and that's one of the differences between the church then and the church now.
Again, to echo what both of them have said, today the church will tell you that the law is done away with, or the law has been set aside, that we're under now the law of love. Well, I want to read something to you. Turn to Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter.
That's a good one, Ellen.
And we're going to start at verse 11. Right. Deuteronomy 30 and 11. I want you to listen to this very carefully, because what applied then applies now. It says, "For this commandment which I command you today is not too mysterious for you, nor is it far off. It is not in heaven, that you should say, who will ascend into heaven for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. Nor is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear and do it. But the word is very near you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil, in that I command you today to love Yahweh your El, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, his statutes, and his judgments, that you may live and multiply. And Yahweh your El will bless you in the land which you go in to possess. Now, he talked to the children of Israel before they went into the land. And he said he set before them life and good, death and evil. In the statutes, laws, and judgments that he gave them to live by. But we know that they failed in that they transgressed the law. They broke the covenant. The Father didn't break the covenant because he does not break covenants. Huh?
That's right.
When he make a promise, that promise stands. It was the people who broke it. So don't make no mistake that the law is done away with because the people broke it and that they couldn't keep it. Remember what this said. It's not too far off from you.
Can I just interject right here while you on that topic right there? I'd like to go right back here to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter.
Yeah.
Okay? And I want to say this, since you said that right there, because people don't understand that the Father hasn't broke the contract.
That's right.
Fathers don't break contracts.
No, he
We
don't.
broke it, but what does breaking it mean? Does breaking it mean it's destroyed?
No.
It's not.
No.
Broken it means that you just done messed up.
That's all.
Okay. Verse 9. Deuteronomy 7:9. It says, therefore know that Yahweh your El, he is El, the faithful El, who keeps covenant and mercy for 1,000 generations.
That's it.
With those who love him and what? Keep his commandments. Stop. I don't say no more.
That's it.
I got something to say.
For 1,000 generations.
You go ahead. Now, you said you weren't going to say no more. But
Because all that tells me is that for 1,000 generations, and this is just a general wording here.
That's all.
Because if you want to be honest, we're really talking about forever here.
That's it.
See, and I'm just saying that to echo on what Elder just said, because this is very important. The contract is made between a people and the Father.
That's it.
We broke the covenant, yes, viewing ornaments, but the Father didn't break it.
That's it.
When you sign a contract with a company somewhere, and you break that contract, you pay a penalty for it, but you're still held accountable.
That's
for
right.
it.
You are.
That's it.
The contract is not going anywhere.
No, that,
Yeah.
It's still there. They haven't broken it. You broke it.
That's it.
So all that means is you pay the penalty.
That's
And
it.
I'm just saying that's because of what you said, though.
That's
Because
right.
People
Very good.
think the covenant's been broken, Yah's taking the covenant and throwing it away.
No.
No, it is not.
No, he done.
And see, that's what I want to say too. We sit here today because of this broken covenant.
That's
Okay.
it.
Exactly.
Because when Moshe sprinkled that blood on the people, that was concrete.
Yeah.
Consecration.
Okay,
yeah, it was.
that was as solid as you can get.
Okay.
Consecration.
Okay, and I'm gonna read this. This is gonna springboard from what you just said. Turn to Exodus 34th chapter, and right now we're trying to establish the origins of the church. Okay, and where it began,
Okay.
and the principles in which it was based upon.
Right.
Okay,
Beautiful.
these principles still are to be adhered even today.
Okay.
Okay, because this is the foundation of the church.
Right.
Okay, now Exodus 34, 5th verse.
34 and 5. Okay.
And Yahweh descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahweh. Okay, stop right there. The church of Yahweh has to have his name
That's it.
in it. All right?
Uh-oh.
This is what you got to understand. Let me read that again. It says, and Yahweh descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahweh. And Yahweh passed by there for him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh Elohim, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth,
Yep.
keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and who will by no means clear the guilty.
That's it.
Now, I'm trying to help people, we're trying to help people understand that this thing is bigger than you dressing up in nice clothes, singing songs, singing praise, beating tambourines,
Right.
coming out for whatever personal thing that you feel is important. This thing is a mission, okay? This is a commission that was given to a people.
That's right.
To pull the wool off the mystery system, or to pull the wool off the lie. This is our mission as the church, as the people that Yahweh put into motion in the beginning.
Right.
So if you feel that you want to be a part of this, you can't cling on to the lies that Christendom perpetrates today.
King.
You can't have this book in your hand. Okay, you can't have this book in your hand, because we're reading the King James, the same as all over the planet, basically. The King James 1611 version of the Bible. Okay? You can't have this book in your hand and lie at the same time. Okay? You must understand, we're reading from the same book.
That's right.
Therefore, you must take it upon yourself to know, if you're trying to serve the same El or the same God as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you had to do what was prescribed to his descendants. Okay? To fall under the covenant or that contract,
Right.
and to reap all the benefits of that covenant and contract, you must have it the way it's prescribed.
Right.
Okay? Now let me finish reading. Let me read 7 again.
Okay.
Keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon the children's children, unto the third and to the fourth generation. Moshe made haste and bowed his head toward the earth and worshiped. And he said, if now I have found grace in thy sight, O Yahweh, let Yahweh, I pray thee, go among us. For it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, take us for thine inheritance. And he said, behold, I make a covenant before all thy people. I will do marvels, such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. That's a significant thing there.
Yeah,
Of course
That's
it is.
powerhouse right there, because he didn't deal with any other nation the way he dealt with the children of Israel.
That's it.
So the church had to come through the children of Israel.
Yeah, it did.
You understand what I'm saying? See, it doesn't have anything to do with creed and color,
No.
because it's going to be different creeds and colors in the kingdom. But you have to attach yourself to the children of Israel.
Yeah, that's good.
Let me finish reading. It says, nor any nation and all the people among whom thou art shall see the work of Yahweh. For it is an awe-inspiring thing that I will do with thee. Observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land which thou goest. That's what the church of today has done.
That's it.
King, very good.
The covenant in which they've adhered or they've embraced is a covenant, or it's a doctrine apart from this. That's why when you're in church, you participate in activities that have nothing to do that's in this book.
Right.
That's it.
You have activities that come from pagan ancient worship. That's just, the names have just been changed and rearranged.
Yeah.
And you actually think that because you're sitting up in a place or a housing called the church,
Right.
that you are in a church. No, you are not. Because the foundation of your church is built on a lie and on sand.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Therefore, it will not stand in the last day. Let me finish reading this. It says, let me read 12 again. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where thou goest, lest it be a snare in the midst of thee, where ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their idols. For thou shalt worship no other Elohim, for Yahweh, whose name is jealous, and jealous Yahweh. Or Yahweh is a jealous El. lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they play the harlot with their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice. That's today's church.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why it does. That's why you can't read the law. That's why the lie is perpetrated that the law has been done away with. You have to tell that lie because your ordinances, your statutes have nothing to do with the Most High's.
No,
You see what I'm saying? So you have to lie. You can't go in this part of the book
No.
and do what you've been doing all the time because it's built on a gigantic lie.
Yep.
And it cannot stand.
Right.
But see, the reason we went here is to show you the origin. This is what the church was based upon.
Right, right.
Okay? Let me finish reading. I'm going to give it to somebody else. It says, 16, and thou take their daughters, and unto thy son, and thou take their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters play the harlot with their gods, and make thy sons play the harlot with their gods. This is the thing that is most disturbing. You have people that don't know the word, that infect other people and lead other people astray.
Yes.
Dealing with false doctrine, dealing with false prophecy, dealing with this lie called this prosperity thing that's taken on in the churches today.
Okay.
Straying away from the original word, straying away from the commission that the Father gave to the children of Israel in the beginning, straying away from that sacred contract or covenant.
Right, right.
Therefore, you are out of alignment with this. This thing started at the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This is the thing that after our father Adam messed up,
Okay.
this is the thing that put us back on track with the Most High. This is important.
Yeah, it is very important.
You see what I'm saying? This ain't nothing that you take lightly. That's why I said, you know, it's more important than new clothes or things that are,
Materialistic.
right, things that are trivial compared to what you are supposed to be doing.
Right.
So, this is the foundation of the church.
Very good.
Again, to echo on what Kazakiel was saying, why they don't go into this part of the book.
Right.
Turn to Deuteronomy, the 31st chapter. Now, Moshe was the father was about to take Moshe, and they were getting ready to change leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But he told Moshe something. We're going to start reading at verse 7 of 31.
Okay.
Then Moshe called Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, notice what it said, in the sight of all Israel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a significance to that, and we're going to see that in just a second.
Okay.
Skip down to verse 9,
Okay.
because this is what's important here. You might have a subtitle in your Bible that says the law to be read every 7 years. It says, so Moshe wrote this law and delivered it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. Now we know that the children of Israel, they had what was called the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ark of the Covenant would go before the children of Israel wherever they go. And whenever people saw this ark, they would tremble because they knew that Yahweh was with them.
Okay.
Now, skip down to verse 12 and listen to this. It says, gather the people together, men and women and little ones, and the stranger who is within your gates, that they may hear and that they may learn to fear Yahweh your El and carefully observe all the words of this law. How many? All the words of this law. And that their children, who have not known it, may hear and learn to fear Yahweh your El as long as you live in the land which you cross the Jordan to possess. Now, let's skip down, because remember now, they was going into the land. This was what they had to do in order to what? As we read previously, what? This was what? Life and good, death and evil. This was what was to keep them in the land, adhering to the contract.
Okay.
That's right.
Then it says, 14, then Yahweh said to Moshe, behold, the day approaches when you must die. Call Joshua and present yourself in the tabernacle of the meeting. Again, remember when we started off, we talked about the tabernacle or the congregation of the meeting.
Okay.
This was the starting or the beginning of what we know today that has taken on what they call the church.
Right.
This was the actual church.
Okay.
And it's called the tabernacle of the meeting.
That's right.
That I may inaugurate him. Him who? He was to inaugurate Joshua in front of all the people. Because this was who had to do what? Know and teach the law to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam so that they could live. That people would look at you and you would be the example. So Moshe and Joshua went and presented themselves in what? The tabernacle of the meeting.
Right.
See, remember I said the word church didn't appear.
Right.
It always was considered the tabernacle of the meeting.
Okay.
Why? Because this is where the law was. This was what was being taught.
Right.
So that you would know how to do what? Live with one another as well as with everybody else.
Very good.
See, remember now the contract has different parts.
Right.
This is why people today don't understand anything.
Right.
Because they never understood the contract.
Okay.
Because the people that are standing in front of them never did what's being prescribed here.
Right.
They got their own contract.
Okay.
And that's what they follow.
Right. You know, in Isaiah, I believe it's 8:20, it says, if they speak not according to the law and the testimony, it's because there's no light in them.
Correct.
And we've been dealing with the law, and now I just want to read something in the testimony
Go right ahead.
to confirm everything that's been read earlier. I want to go to Ephesians, and this is Brother Shaul. I don't want to get too far ahead, but this is Shaul speaking to the Gentiles, and this is just another example of us being the true church and bringing it to the rest of the world. And I would like to start at Ephesians, the 2nd chapter, at the 10th verse. And it reads, for we are his workmanship, created in Yahshua unto good works, which Elohim had before ordained that we should walk in them. Verse 11 says, wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcised by that which is called circumcision in the flesh made by hands. It says that at that time ye were without the Messiah, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without Elohim in the world. Now we see where the church brought the truth to the world, and who was to bring the covenant or the contract to the world. We see the Shaul is talking to the Ephesians. I want to skip down to verse 19. And it says, now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints. So the question is, who is the saints? We know that's Israel.
Correct.
And the household of Elohim. Verse 20. And are built upon the foundations of the apostles and prophets, Yahshua HaMashiach himself being the chief cornerstone. Now we know that all the apostles and the prophets were children of Israel.
That's it.
And we know that this covenant came from the law through the children of Israel to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam.
Correct.
So this is the true foundation of the church. And in order to be part of the true foundation of the church, you must become part of the commonwealth of Israel.
That's it.
There's no other way.
I'd like to read something here. Let's look at Colossians. Let's go to Colossians, the letter of Colossians. And we're going to go directly to the 15th verse. And we'll read from 15 through 18.
15.
Colossians 1, 15 through 18. Verse 15 says, and we know that we're referring to Yahushua here. It starts off by saying that Yahushua is the image of the invisible El, the firstborn of all creation, meaning that he was the first to be resurrected from death to life and live forever. And we know that Israel is referred to as Yah's firstborn as well. And we are conformed to the image of the Son. That's what Paul said. All right, now, but it says, for by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. So all things that exist was established and created by the son of El, who is Yahushua.
Okay.
All things were created through him. But it says, and all things were created for him.
Look at that.
All things were created for him. Now let that sink in for a minute. And he is before all things, because he was here before the world was. He is before all things, and in him all things consist. That includes Israel.
Yeah.
And he is the head of the body of the church,
Okay.
who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things may have the preeminence. Now, the church itself is the body. But this is the body that belongs to Yahushua. Now, Israel is a part of that body.
Yes, he is.
And we know that there was a mystery that Shaul talked about that no one knew about. And that mystery was simply this, that Yah will pour out his spirit, and he will then take a people who were pagan and bring them into the fold or into the family of the firstborn, which is Israel.
That's it.
Right.
So this is your real mystery. So it's difficult to claim the church to yourself and then not to be able to see where it originally started from. For all things were created by him, it says, and for him.
Very good.
So that means that all things are his. And we are just one of those things
Okay.
that were created for him. And we are part of, and part of that is that body, and we are that body.
Let me say something right quick. Go back to, go to 2 Samuel.
2 Samuel.
Mm-hmm. 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter.
Okay.
Because I want to bring something out that has to do with the tabernacle.
Very good.
Okay. And the temple. 2 Samuel 7 chapter, 5th verse. No, 4th verse. And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahweh came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant Dawid, thus saith Yahweh, shalt thou build me an house for me to dwell in, whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Mizraim. Stop. Flip over to the 22nd chapter. I'm sorry, the 22nd verse. Same chapter. Okay? Wherefore thou art great, O Yahweh Elohim, for there is none like thee, neither is there any El beside thee, according to all that we have heard with our ears. And what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel, whom Yahweh went to redeem from a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and honor spine for thy land before thy people, which thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. For thou hast confirmed to thyself thy people, Israel, to be a people unto thee forever. And thou, Yahweh, art become their El. And now, Yahweh Elohim, the word that thou hast spoken concerning thy servant and concerning his house, establish it forever, and do as thou hast said. The tabernacle or the temple was a housing.
Yeah.
Okay? We're talking about the instrument that's used to get back to the Most High. That's the reason I brought this out.
Okay.
All right? This is what the church is. The instrument that is used to get back to the face of the Most High.
Okay.
All right? That's why you have to have everything lined up. That's why we started in the Old Testament, or the law, to
Right.
show where this was all established at.
Very good. Good
Okay?
teaching. Good teaching.
Dawid didn't build a house because Dawid couldn't build a house.
Right.
All right? But I brought that out and showed you the humble beginning, because the Yahweh hadn't dwelt in a structure since they had came out of the tent or the tabernacle.